The night is a cathedral of silver and sorrow. Clouds drift like shrouds across the heavens, parting only to reveal the merciless face of the moon, round, radiant, and hungry. In the heart of Valorian's sacred mountain, the great temple of the lunar god glows like a wound in the dark. Its marble steps glisten with rain, each drop reflecting torchlight and trembling prayers. Inside, thousands kneel upon the cold floor, their whispers merging into one endless plea for mercy. The scent of incense and blood mingles in the air, sweet, suffocating, divine. At the center of it all stands a girl draped in white, Cerise, barefoot, bound by ribbons of consecrated silver. Her wrists shimmer faintly where moonlight touches skin. The priests call her the chosen vessel, the one destined to feed the god who gives and takes in equal cruelty. She is too calm for someone about to die. Her hair, long and pale as frost, brushes her collarbone with every breath. Beneath the veil her eyes shine like winter stars, clear, unyielding, and far older than her years. Around her the choir begins its slow descent into lamentation. Bells toll from the high tower, each chime counting down to the moment her heart will be offered. The high seer raises the sacred blade, forged from the moon's first tear, its edge humming with ancient hunger. By blood the curse is kept at bay, he intones. By obedience the kingdom endures. Cerise lowers her gaze, her lips moving in silent prayer, not to the God who demands her, but to the stars that never judge. Outside, thunder murmurs across the valley. The wind shifts, carrying the scent of wolves. A shadow moves along the horizon, black against silver, too swift to be storm, too fierce to be man. The guards at the gate feel it before they see it, the tremor of hooves, the growl of destiny. And as the first drops of rain strike the temple roof, the moon herself seems to flicker. Somewhere beyond the mountains, something ancient answers her call. Across the valley where shadows run deep and lightning walks like a spirit, the Alpha King rides through the storm. His name is Kalen, a name once sung in victory, now whispered in dread. The wind bends around him, his black stallion moving with the fury of the night, hooves pounding against the drenched earth like war drums from a forgotten age. His cloak, soaked and torn by years of battle, thrashes behind him, as if it too remembers the weight of the crown he wears. The air around him hums with power, not born of blessing but of curse. The moon's light touches no part of him. It recoils, as though unwilling to claim what it once made. Each breath he draws tastes of regret and prophecy. The rain does not cleanse him. It only reminds him of blood. Beneath the storm's roar, he hears again the whisper that has haunted him since birth. When the heart of light meets the hand of the cursed, the moon shall bleed anew. The priests of his court once said the words were a warning. Kalen knows they were a promise. He was bound by it, enslaved to it, shaped into the weapon of divine cruelty. A king without peace, a wolf without pack, a son without God. Behind him, his legion of spectral wolves runs silent, their eyes burning amber through the dark. None dare speak, for they feel his unrest, the tension of a ruler walking willingly into ruin. Ahead, through the sheet of rain, the temple rises on the mountain's crown, white stone stained by centuries of sacrifice. Kalen's jaw tightens. "It should have been me," he mutters, his voice low and breaking. The storm answers with, Thunder as if the heavens themselves flinch from his confession. For in his chest, where a mortal heart should beat, something else stirs, a bond he cannot name, a call he cannot silence. The moon's chosen offering waits within those walls, and though Calin was sent to deliver her to death, a force older than faith pulls him instead toward her salvation. "Moon, forgive me," he whispers to the sky. "I no longer serve you." And the lightning answers like applause from a furious god. The temple's heart glows with an unholy brilliance. Hundreds of candles line the marble steps leading to the dais, their flames trembling as if aware of what is to come. The high seer's chant echoes through the vaulted ceiling, each word a thread of power pulling heaven and earth together. Cerise stands at the center, motionless beneath the silver beam that spills through the open roof, a column of light that marks her as chosen. Around her the air is thick with incense and sorrow. Every priest, every devotee watches in rapture, waiting for the goddess to feed, for the kingdom to be cleansed of fear. The sacred blade gleams in the seer's hand, its edge catching the moonlight like liquid glass. "By blood we endure," he intones, his voice shaking the rafters. "By her life the covenant is renewed." Cerise lifts her chin, her breath shallow but steady. She feels the chill of the blade in the air even before it descends. Her heart pounds like a drum echoing across eternity. One beat, then another, then silence. She whispers not to the moon, but to the stars, "If there is mercy in you, remember me not as offering, but as girl." Then the storm breaks. Thunder tears through the temple, shattering the chant, scattering the candles in a flurry of sparks. The heavy doors slam open, slamming against the marble with a deafening boom. Rain floods the floor, silvering the sacrificial circle. A gust of power sweeps through the room, not divine, but alive. From the entrance, a figure steps through the storm, tall, dark, and crowned in firelight. The Alpha King. His cloak drips with rain. His eyes blaze gold against the gloom. The priests recoil as his wolves spill through the doorway, their growls vibrating the ground. The seer raises the blade, but Kellen's voice stops the world. "Enough." His tone is thunder wrapped in human shape. The goddess herself seems to pause. His gaze meets Cerise's for the first time, her eyes wide, his unreadable. Lightning splits the ceiling open, and Calin whispers, "No god claims what still beats with a human heart." And in that single moment, the age of obedience ends. The temple shatters into chaos, echoing like the breaking of an age. Bells toll wildly, the sound twisting through stone corridors, as frightened worshippers scatter like leaves caught in wind. Smoke fills the air. Candles topple, hissing as rain pours across the marble floor. The priests shout in panic, their sacred chants drowned beneath the growl of wolves and the thunder of rebellion. Calin moves through it all like fate incarnate, every stride of his boots splashing through the holy water that now runs red with shattered faith. Cerise stands frozen upon the altar, her breath caught between awe and terror. She has heard stories of the Alpha King, the beast of prophecy, the moon's executioner, yet nothing prepared her for the man before her. He is all shadow and flame soaked in rain, his gaze molten gold beneath a crown of lightning. "Who are you?" she manages, voice trembling like a prayer spoken too late. Calin halts at the base of the dais, his presence bending the very air around him. "The one sent to kill you," he says, his tone quiet, terrible, and tender all at once, and the one who refuses to obey. With a single motion his blade flashes, silver against silver, severing the ribbons that bind her wrists. The threads dissolve into dust, their glow fading as though mourning the end of centuries of tradition. Her freed hands shake, not from fear, but from the sudden realization of what he has done. "You've doomed yourself," she whispers. "The moon will destroy you for this." Kalen steps closer, his expression caught between defiance and despair. "She already did," he answers. Behind them, lightning splits the stained glass windows, scattering fragments like falling stars. The wolves close in, guarding them in a circle of snarling loyalty. The High Seer's voice rises in horror. "The curse will devour you both." Kalen looks back once, his eyes gleaming with the madness of a man who has finally found something worth dying for. "Then let it feast." He takes Cerise's hand. Together they vanish into the storm, leaving. The moon's silence echoing behind them, the first rebellion written not in words but in love. The storm devours them whole. Rain lashes through the trees like silver knives, and the forest trembles beneath the fury of gods betrayed. Kalen rides hard through the darkness, his stallion breathing steam, his cloak snapping like a wounded banner. Cerise clings to him, her hands gripping the rough leather of his armor, her heart racing faster than the thunder that hunts them. Behind, the temple burns, a white inferno swallowed by the night. Its bells toll once, twice, then fall silent, leaving only the sound of pursuit. The moon's soldiers move like phantoms, their armor gleaming with divine light as they close the distance. "Hold on." Kalen growls over the roar of the storm, his voice raw with command and desperation. His wolves weave through the rain beside them, silent, spectral guardians. One leaps to intercept an arrow meant for Cerise, vanishing in a burst of ash and light. Her eyes widen. She has never seen loyalty born from a curse before. "Why did you save me?" She shouts against the wind, her words nearly torn away. "Because you looked at the moon and didn't bow," Kalen answers, his tone rough as stone. "You reminded me of what defiance felt like." Lightning flares, revealing his face, scarred, beautiful, carved from anguish and flame. "You're cursed, too," she breathes. His jaw tightens, and for an instant, sorrow softens his ferocity. "Not cursed," he murmurs, "condemned." They ride until dawn bleeds across the edge of the world, pale light turning rain into shards of glass. When at last they reach the forest's heart, Kalen dismounts, helping her down with trembling hands. The ancient oak above them groans, its roots older than any god. Beneath it the storm calms, as if the earth itself recognizes what the heavens have rejected. Cerise looks at him, truly seeing him for the first time. Not the monster from the chants, but a man born to suffer beauty and love both. Kalen exhales, meeting her gaze. "We are hunted," he says quietly. "Then let them come," she replies. "If death follows us, at least it will know we lived." Far above the forest where they rest, the heavens awaken in fury. The moon, full and burning white, stares down at the mortal realm like a wounded eye. The storm does not end, it shifts, deepens, grows alive. Clouds curl around the lunar face, forming a crown of rage. The goddess who rules from its throne stirs, her voice rolling through the night like thunder laced with grief. "You dare steal what is mine?" The wind itself bows before the echo of her wrath. Across the kingdom the tides rise, the wolves howl, and the rivers turn silver. Kelen jerks upright where he kneels by the fire. Pain tears through his chest, sudden and merciless. He clutches his heart as a faint glow pulses beneath his armor, an ancient brand awakening. The curse he thought long quiet begins to burn again, threads of light crawling through his veins like molten chains. "She calls me back," he gasps, his voice breaking. The moon demands her due. His wolves whimper, shrinking into the shadows, as though fearing the divine presence that bleeds through their king's body. Cerise rushes to him, her cloak trailing through the wet leaves. "What's happening to you?" she cries, gripping his shoulders. He looks at her, eyes golden and wild. "She wants what I took, your life, your blood, your soul." Cerise's breath trembles, but she does not step back. "Then she will have to take us both." Kalen shakes his head violently. "You don't understand, she's—" But before he can finish, the world itself answers. Lightning explodes across the sky, striking the oak above them. The ground splits and moonlight pours down like liquid judgment, engulfing them in its glow. Through the roar, the goddess's whisper snakes through the air, soft, venomous, unrelenting. "You defy me again, my cursed son? Then share your curse with the girl who bears your sin." The mark on Cerise's wrist ignites, burning bright as starlight. She screams not in fear, but in defiance, as the divine fire links her to him. Kellen's roar joins hers, the forest trembling as their fates fuse beneath the moon's furious gaze. Somewhere in that brilliance the goddess laughs a sound colder than eternity itself. The night bleeds into dawn as Kalen and Cerise stumble through the forest, guided only by instinct and desperation. The air still hums with the remnants of divine wrath, a strange shimmering current that makes the trees whisper in voices not their own. Every step they take leaves behind faint traces of silver light, his curse and her mark bleeding into the world. They move until the path vanishes beneath the moss, until even the wolves dare not follow, and there, buried beneath centuries of ivy and stone, they find it, the ruins of an old monastery. Its once sacred walls lean crookily toward the sky, and its broken spires still hum with the echoes of forgotten prayers. Inside, time has no voice. Dust drifts through the fractured roof, carrying the scent of wax and memory. Faded murals line the walls, paintings of the moon in her gentler form, not as goddess, but as mother. Cerise pauses before one, her fingers brushing over the image of a celestial figure cradling the world in her hands. "Did she ever love us?" she whispers. Kalen looks up from where he tends his bleeding arm, the golden fire of his eyes dimmed by exhaustion. "Once," he says quietly, "until we loved each other more than we loved her." The fire crackles between them, fragile and defiant. Kalen sits with his back against the stone, his cloak spread across the floor to shield her from the cold. "You should have run," he murmurs. "You shouldn't have followed me into this." Cerise turns her gaze toward him, soft but unwavering. "You shouldn't have saved me either," she replies. "Yet here we are." Outside the rain softens, turning from fury to lullaby. The forest exhales as if granting them one moment of peace before the next storm. Kalen studies her in the quiet light, his thoughts heavy as the curse that hums beneath his skin. "You have no idea what you've bound yourself to," he says, voice low. Cerise meets his gaze, the silver in her eyes flickering like dawn through fog. "No," she breathes, "but I think fate's tired of being obeyed." And for the first time in centuries, the cursed king almost smiles. Midnight returns like a memory that refuses to die. The fire in the monastery's heart burns low, casting trembling shadows upon the walls. Cerise lies awake, the glow of her mark faintly illuminating her wrist like a living ember. Outside, the wind circles the ruins, carrying with it whispers that sound too deliberate to be mere breeze. Kalen sits across from her, silent, his golden eyes fixed on the flame, haunted by thoughts he dares not voice. The storm has passed, yet the air feels heavier, as though the goddess herself lingers in the quiet, watching, waiting for them to break. Without warning, the light shifts. The fire flickers blue, and the carvings along the walls begin to pulse, ancient runes flaring to life. Cerise sits upright, her breath caught in her throat. The symbols shimmer like veins of light, weaving together to form words she somehow understands. When the light touches the cursed, the moon shall bleed anew. The phrase hums in the air, cold and infinite. Kellen's expression darkens as he rises, his shadow stretching long across the stone. "She's binding us," he mutters, voice trembling with restrained fury. "Your life. My curse they're one now." Cerise stares at the glowing script, then at him. "Then we share the burden," she says softly. Kellen's eyes flash, his voice breaking. "No, you don't understand what you've done. If I live, she'll take you." He turns from her, pacing like a caged storm. The moon doesn't forgive defiance. She only delays her vengeance. But Cerise rises to meet him, stepping into the circle of moonlight spilling through the broken roof. The light catches her hair, turning her into something otherworldly. "Then you'll have to make her love us both," she whispers. Kalen stops, stunned. For a moment everything stills, even the wind seems to kneel before her defiance. The fire gutters. The runes fade. But between them, something invisible locks into place, an unspoken vow that no god can break. And in that sacred ruin, as the moon watches in furious silence, the prophecy takes its first living breath. The night drapes itself over the ruined monastery like a shroud, silent except for the soft hiss of the dying fire. Kalen sits beside the embers, the glow painting his face in shades of gold and grief. His armor lies discarded near the wall, its edges blackened by divine fire, its weight replaced by something heavier, memory. Cerise watches him quietly from across the room, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes reflecting the last trembling flame. "You haven't spoken in hours," she says gently. "Silence isn't peace," he murmurs. "It's just the noise I can bear." She hesitates, unsure if he speaks to her or the ghosts that haunt him. "Tell me what the moon took from you," she whispers. His gaze lifts, slow and reluctant. For a long moment he says nothing. Then his voice cracks through the quiet like the first tear in glass. "I once loved before," he confesses. "She was like you, a chosen one. A woman meant to be given to the moon. I tried to save her too." His jaw tightens, his fingers clenching around the hilt of his blade. "The goddess saw my defiance and called it sin. She took her from me, body, soul, memory, and turned her into something I would never stop fearing." Cerise's eyes widen. "What did she become?" Kellen's stare drifts to the doorway, where the wind sighs like a lament. The first silver wolf, he whispers. She hunts me still. Every full moon she comes, bound by divine rage. She doesn't remember my name, only the curse she carries. Cerise crosses the space between them, kneeling at his side. Her hand finds his, warm against the chill of his skin. "And yet you tried again," she says softly. Kalen turns toward her, his golden eyes reflecting both torment and wonder. "Because the moment I saw you," he breathes, "the curse stopped feeling like punishment. It felt like purpose. The silence that follows is sacred. Outside, the forest listens. Inside, two hearts, one mortal, one damned, find a rhythm older than fate itself. And for a fleeting instant, even the moon averts her gaze. Dawn bleeds slowly through the forest, pale and uncertain, painting the ruined monastery in shades of ash and sorrow. Kalen wakes before the sun, every instinct on edge. The air feels wrong, too still, too measured, as though the world itself is holding its breath. His wolves prowl restlessly beyond the walls, their growls low and uneasy. When he steps outside, the sky above seems fractured, the clouds split by streaks of silver that shimmer unnaturally. The scent of divinity, cold, metallic, and merciless, drifts on the wind. He knows that smell. He has bled beneath it before. "They've found us," he whispers. Cerise appears in the doorway, the soft white of her gown blending with the morning mist. "Who?" she asks, though she already knows. Kellen's expression hardens. "The goddess's hunters. The moon's soldiers." He turns toward her, his hand brushing the hilt of his blade. "They are not men. They do not tire, and they do not forgive." The forest stirs. From between the trees they emerge, figures of light and shadow, their armor glowing like molten silver, their faces hidden behind masks shaped like crescent moons. They move in silence, a tide of judgment. The ground itself seems to recoil beneath their steps. Cerise's breath catches. "How do we fight gods?" She whispers. Kalen glances at her, his eyes burning with a defiance too human for heaven. "With what they fear most," he says. "Choice." The first hunter strikes, his blade gleaming with celestial fire. Kalen meets him in a clash of gold and silver, the impact shattering the air. Wolves burst from the shadows, fangs bared, fury unleashed. The battle is chaos, divine against cursed, light against life. Cerise kneels beside the fire, whispering an old prayer, but the words change on her tongue. They become something new, a spell born not of devotion, but of love. When the last hunter falls, the clearing is silent except for the rain. Kalen stands bloodied, breathing hard, his sword slick with moonlight. Then he turns and freezes. Cerise lies on the ground, her hands glowing faintly where she shielded him from divine flame. "I told you the gods don't forgive love," he whispers. Her lips curve into a trembling smile. "Then let them learn how." The air thickens until it feels like glass ready to shatter. The rain stops mid-fall, each drop suspended in the silence. Kalen drops to his knees beside Cerise, his breath ragged, his blood mingling with the silver glow that seeps from her palms. "Stay with me," he pleads, pressing his hand over hers. Her skin is too cold, her pulse faint, yet her eyes flutter open, shimmering with a light that isn't her own. "She's here," Cerise whispers, voice distant, layered as if two souls speak through her at once. "Kalen, she's watching." The world bends inward. A radiance blooms from the sky, blinding and perfect, pouring into the clearing like liquid moonlight. From its center steps a figure, tall, draped in veils woven from starlight, her presence both beautiful and unbearable. The moon goddess walks upon the air as if it were glass, her gaze calm and pitiless. The trees bow, the wolves whimper and crawl into the shadows. Even the fire dies, unwilling to burn before her. "Son of defiance," she says, her voice echoing through bone and sky alike. "You were made to serve my will, yet again you have undone it." Kalen rises to his feet, every breath a battle. "I served," he growls. "I bled, I burned, I obeyed, until obedience became a curse." Her eyes flicker with cold amusement. "And this mortal girl, she was the cost of your rebellion." Cerise stirs weakly, her voice trembling. "If my life is the cost, take it." The goddess looks down at her, something unreadable crossing her face. Not mercy, but recognition. "You think you understand sacrifice," she murmurs. "You offer your heart as though love were currency." Kalen steps forward, his sword in hand, though it's useless against divinity. "You took everything from me once," he says quietly. "Not again." The moon's glow sharpens to a blade of light. "Then die for her, my cursed child." The blast hits like the end of creation. The forest ignites in white fire, the earth cracks, and the heavens roar. Yet through the fury, Kalen holds her, shielding Cerise with his body, as if flesh could defy the infinite. And somehow the light bends around them, as though even the goddess hesitates before the thing she cannot name, love. The light engulfs them, swallowing sound, breath, and time itself. Kalen feels the sear of divinity burning through his skin, crawling into his veins like molten frost. His every nerve screams, every memory fractures, yet his arms never loosen around Cerise. He will not let her go. Her body trembles in his embrace, her pulse a flickering thread between life and eternity. Above them the moon's light changes color, from silver to crimson, from holiness to fury. The goddess's voice shakes the heavens, sharp and endless. "You cannot protect what is mine." Kalen roars against the pain, his voice shattering the stillness. "Then make me yours, too." The air implodes, his words turning into power. The mark on his chest flares like fire, and Cerise's wrist glows in response. Threads of light spiral between them, binding skin to skin, soul to soul. The goddess falters, for this is not obedience, but creation. Love burning brighter than her law. "Stop this!" She cries, but the spell continues, unstoppable now that their hearts have chosen it. Cerise gasps, her body arching as energy floods her. "Kalen." She screams. Her voice fractures the air, her tears glimmering like shards of glass. He presses his forehead to hers, his breath shaking. "Hold on," he whispers. "Don't let her take you." But the light surges again, stronger, alive. It pierces through both of them, weaving divine power with mortal spirit. For an instant, the goddess sees herself reflected in their defiance, her own ancient longing mirrored in their bond. And then the storm breaks, the ground splits beneath them, the monastery collapsing into the earth. Kalen falls with her in his arms, through dust and ruin, through a scream that is both his and hers. When the world stills, the forest stands silent once more. The moon's light flickers weakly, as though even she must rest. In the center of the ruin, Kaelin kneels amid the smoke, Cerise limp in his arms. Her mark glows faintly, pulsing in time with his heart. The goddess's voice fades into the wind, not triumphant now, but trembling. You have undone me, my son. And for the first time since the beginning, the moon weeps. Silence, true silence, the kind that follows death or miracles. The air lies heavy with the scent of ash and rain. The storm has gone, but the world still trembles, wounded by what it has witnessed. Beneath the splintered roof of the fallen monastery, Kaelin kneels among the ruins, his cloak torn, his hands blackened by soot and blood. The earth beneath him glows faintly, as if the moon's light cannot decide whether to bless or condemn him. In his arms, Cerise lies unmoving, her skin cold, her hair tangled with dust and moonlight. Her mark flickers faintly like a dying star. No, he whispers, the word trembling from somewhere deep and hollow. Not you. Not like this. His hands shake as he brushes the soot from her cheek, his thumb tracing the soft curve of her face. Her lips are pale, parted slightly, as though the last thing she meant to say had been his name. You weren't supposed to pay for my curse, he breathes, pressing his forehead against hers. You were supposed to end it. Above them the moon glows weakly, her brilliance dimmed, her light softer now, almost sorrowful. For all her wrath, the goddess cannot look away. Kaelin lifts his face to the sky, his voice breaking through the stillness. Is this your justice? He cries. To heal me only when she is gone? To set me free by stealing the only thing that made me want freedom? His roar echoes across the forest, scattering the ashes like snow. Lightning flickers once, not in rage but in mourning. He bows over Cerise again, holding her close, whispering words that fall like prayers and curses all at once. You foolish, brave soul, he murmurs. You thought love could outshine a god. His tears fall onto her face, warm, desperate, endless, and where they touch, her mark stirs. A faint pulse, soft as breath. Kaelin stills, his heart stumbling. Slowly, impossibly, the glow spreads, a ripple of silver threading through her veins. He blinks, afraid to hope. Then he hears it, faint, fragile, her heartbeat, answering his dot, and from far above, the moon sighs, not in anger but in awe. Her breath returns like a sigh stolen from another world. Soft at first, uncertain, then steady, blooming through the still air, like dawn after a century of night. Kaelin freezes, his hands trembling against her cheek. Cerise, he whispers, hardly daring to believe. Her lashes flutter, heavy with ash, and when her eyes open, they no longer reflect the forest or the fire, only the moon herself. Silver light swirls in her irises, endless and shifting, like the ocean caught beneath the heavens. She exhales slowly, and the air seems to bend around her, warm, alive, divine. Kaelin, she breathes, though her voice carries an echo not entirely her own. It is both mortal and celestial, soft, yet commanding. I'm here. He cups her face, his thumb tracing the faint light pulsing at her throat. You came back, he says, the words breaking. She smiles faintly, sad, knowing, eternal. Not all of me, she replies. The goddess, she didn't take me. She remade me. Kaelin shakes his head in disbelief, his voice rough with awe. You're part of her, Cerise finishes softly, and still part of you. She touches his chest where the mark of his curse once burned, now faint and cold beneath her fingers. Our defiance changed her. Outside, the clouds drift aside, revealing a softer moon, no longer cruel, no longer hungry. Its light spills gently through the ruins, illuminating Cerise where she lies. She saw what love can create, Cerise whispers, and for the first time she envied it. Her voice trembles, not from fear but understanding. The moon is not heartless, Kaelin. She simply forgot she had one. He leans closer, their foreheads touching, his breath mingling with hers. Then what are you now? He asks quietly. Her smile fades, eyes shimmering with sorrow. A bridge, she says, between her forgiveness and your curse, between divine wrath and mortal love. The words cut through him, gentle, devastating. Will you stay? He whispers. Her eyes soften, glowing brighter. Until dawn, she says. That is all the mercy she can give. And for the first time in eternity, the moon weeps not for loss, but for love learned too late. The world holds its breath as night deepens one final time. Outside the shattered monastery, the storm has gentled to mist, a veil of silver drifting through the forest, soft as farewell. Kaelin carries Cerise in his arms, her head resting against his shoulder, her light flickering with every heartbeat. The ruins glow faintly behind them, sanctified by love, not faith. He walks until they reach the clearing beneath the ancient oak, the same place where the curse first bound their fates together. The earth still bears the scar of divine fire, yet flowers bloom along the edges, fragile, white, and glowing faintly in the moonlight. He lays her gently against the roots, his cloak spread beneath her. You should rest, he murmurs. She smiles faintly, her voice a melody woven of wind and eternity. Rest is all I have left. Her fingers reach for his, their touch warm despite the chill that creeps into her veins. Do you remember? She asks softly. The night you found me, when I thought you were death come to take me? Kaelin nods, his throat tightening. You were supposed to be the end, he whispers, but you became everything after. She laughs quietly, though it trembles like fragile glass. Perhaps that's what love is, Kaelin, not the denial of endings, but their transformation. Her eyes drift toward the sky, where the moon now glows softer, almost human. She's watching us, Cerise says. Not as a god, but as a witness. Kellen's jaw tightens, his voice breaking. I would burn the heavens again if it meant keeping you. She lifts a trembling hand, pressing her palm to his heart. No, she whispers. You've already taught them enough. Don't burn for me, live for what we became. The forest hums around them, alive with unseen energy. The moon dips lower, her light gentle and forgiving. Kaelin leans close, his forehead against hers, his tears falling onto her cheeks. If dawn takes you, he whispers, then I'll curse the sun forever. Cerise smiles through the shimmer of light escaping her skin. Then you'll find me in the rain, she murmurs, where it all began. Dawn creeps slowly across the forest, fragile and hesitant, as though afraid to intrude upon the sacred stillness beneath the oak. The first rays of light brush against Cerise's skin, and Kaelin feels her flinch softly in his arms. Her glow, once steady and divine, begins to waver, the silver bleeding into pale gold, then fading altogether. He tightens his hold, refusing to believe what the light is telling him. It's too soon, he whispers, his voice trembling with the weight of denial. You said until dawn. It's not dawn yet. But the horizon glows brighter, indifferent to his pleading. Ceres smiles faintly, her hand rising to cup his face. You were never meant to stop time, Kaelin, she says, her voice thin, her words trembling with the softness of a final confession. You were meant to teach it mercy. Tears fall freely down his cheeks, tracing the lines of a face that has seen centuries of battle, but never this kind of pain. He presses his forehead against hers, his breath uneven. Don't do this, he begs. Please don't leave me like the others. Her fingers trace the edge of his jaw, gentle, loving, eternal. You were never meant to be alone, she whispers. That's what the goddess forgot, that even her cursed son deserved a heart that beats beside his own. Her touch falters, her light dimming further with every heartbeat. The forest seems to kneel around them. The wind stills, the birds fall silent. Even the moon lingers on the horizon, refusing to give way to day. Kaelin clutches her tighter, as if sheer strength could hold her soul within her body. If you fade, he chokes, I'll follow. Ceres shakes her head weakly. No, she breathes. You'll live, and that will be the greater curse and the greater gift. Her eyes close, her lips curling into the faintest smile. Because love, Kaelin, doesn't end. It becomes. And as the first full light of morning pierces the forest canopy, Ceres dissolves into soft radiance, scattering into the air like 1,000 silver petals carried by wind. Kaelin falls to his knees, reaching for the light that is no longer hers. The dawn has come, and with it the silence of eternity. Centuries pass, but the curse does not. Time folds around Kaelin like a cruel, endless tide. Seasons rise and fall. Kingdoms are born and buried, yet he remains. The world forgets his name, carving new histories over the wounds of the old, but the forest remembers. Every rainstorm whispers it through the trees. Kaelin, the name that once meant king, now means ghost. He wanders the silent woods in the armor of a man long dead, his cloak frayed, his eyes dimmed but unbroken. Each dawn is a wound, each dusk a reminder. He does not age, nor does he sleep, only waits, bound by love and punishment alike. They call him the Warden of the Moon. Travelers speak of glimpsing him beneath the ancient oak, kneeling where the earth still glows faintly silver. No one dares approach. They say his shadow moves when the wind speaks her name. At night, when storms return, the air fills with her voice, Ceres's whisper carried in thunder, soft, haunting, eternal. You'll find me in the rain. And he does. Every time the skies weep, he looks up, eyes closed, letting the drops fall upon his face like the echo of a kiss he can no longer remember but cannot forget. The moon watches him. Quieter now, her wrath long cooled into sorrow. Once she sought to break him, now she can only bear witness. Her glow touches his silvered hair as he kneels among the ruins of what once was a sanctuary. You learned mercy, she whispers across the heavens. And I learned regret. Kaelin lifts his gaze to her light, his voice low but steady. Then undo what you've done, he calls. Give her back. But the moon does not answer. She cannot. Her silence is apology and punishment both. And so the immortal Alpha remains, half man, half myth, walking the edge between life and legend. His curse no longer burns. It aches. His love no longer lives. It endures. Beneath the endless sky, Kalen smiles faintly through his sorrow. You see, Cerise, he murmurs to the wind, I kept my promise. And somewhere in the rain, her laughter answers. The prophecy that once bound gods and men begins to unravel with the passing of ages. What was once written in flame and moonlight now fades like ink under rain. The moon no longer speaks to her priests. Her temples crumble, her hymns forgotten. The people of Valerian live and die beneath her pale light without knowing her name. But the curse she left behind endures, walking among them in the form of a silent man, cloaked in shadow. Kalen, the immortal king, the forsaken son, he no longer fights, no longer flees. He simply exists, a creature of twilight between dusk and dawn. Every century, when the silver rains fall hardest, he returns to the ruins beneath the ancient oak. There the air still hums with her essence. The flowers still bloom white as bone, glowing faintly, even when the world sleeps. He kneels, his hands brushing the soft petals, his heart heavy with all he cannot let go. It's been too long, he whispers, and still I wait. The forest stirs as if hearing him. The wind moves through the branches, and for a heartbeat the world grows still. Then, softly and possibly, the ground begins to glow. Faint ripples of light spread from the roots of the oak, weaving symbols of silver flame. Kelman's breath catches. Cerise? He murmurs, his voice breaking into disbelief. The light gathers, coalescing into a shape, not flesh, not shadow, but memory given form. A figure made of moonlight and rain stands before him, her face gentle, her presence trembling like dawn. Kalen, she whispers. Her voice is both distant and near, carried on the breath of every storm that ever touched him. He reaches for her, his hands trembling, but they pass through her form like mist. You waited, she says softly, even when the world forgot. He bows his head, his tears falling freely. I don't know how to stop, he admits. Cerise smiles, that same fragile, eternal smile that first undid the gods. Then don't, she whispers. Just remember. And when she fades again, the forest blooms anew. For remembrance, too, is a kind of resurrection. The sky darkens long before twilight. Across Illyrian the air turns heavy, electric birds vanish into silence. Rivers freeze mid-current, and the stars themselves seem to hold their breath. From the farthest reaches of the kingdom, people lift their eyes to the heavens as the moon begins to bleed. A slow, crimson shadow crawls across her surface, dimming her ancient light. The seers whisper in terror, calling it the eclipse of reckoning, the night the heavens atone for their sins. But deep within the forest, Kalen knows the truth. This is no punishment. It is remembrance. He stands beneath the ancient oak, the roots now overgrown with luminous flowers, their glow pulsing in rhythm with the moon's fading heart. The same place where she died, and where he never stopped waiting. The air hums, alive with power both divine and broken. Kalen looks up, his cloak whipping in the cold wind, his golden eyes burning brighter than the dimming sky. If you are ending, he says quietly, then so will I. The ground trembles, and the air thickens with light. From the horizon, a wave of radiance rushes through the forest. Not wrath this time, but sorrow. The moon goddess herself descends, weakened, her form flickering like an old flame. She stands before Kalen, no longer terrible, but human in her regret. "My son," she says, her voice fragile as dawn, "your defiance unmade me, yet your love remade the world." Her gaze lifts toward the sky, where her light bleeds away into nothingness. "I am dying, Kaelin. The balance is broken. If I fade, so will she, even her memory." Kelman's heart lurches. "Then take me," he demands. "Let me carry her memory where you cannot." The goddess looks at him for a long moment, then nods, her eyes glistening with a light that feels almost like tears. "Then become the eclipse," she whispers. Her hand touches his chest, and light floods through him, red, silver, gold, consuming him from the inside out. The forest flares with brilliance. The sky collapses into silence, and as the moon dies, Kaelin becomes her last breath, a living bridge between love and oblivion. The world is quiet now, so quiet that even the wind seems afraid to breathe. The forest where gods once walked stands still beneath a sky stripped of its light. The moon is gone. Only a faint red shimmer stains the heavens, like the echo of a memory too sacred to fade. At the heart of that silence, beneath the ancient oak, the ground still glows faintly, the place where love defied the divine and outlasted eternity. There, in the center of the clearing, lies Kaelin, no longer man, no longer beast, but something in between. His body is still, yet his form glows with threads of light, silver and crimson, weaving slowly across his skin like veins of molten grace. The mark of the moon rests upon his heart, the mark of Cerise upon his wrist. Both burn together in perfect unity, life bound to love, curse bound to mercy. Around him the forest stirs. Flowers bloom out of season. The rain begins to fall, though no clouds remain. Each drop that touches the ground glimmers faintly, whispering with her voice, "You'll find me in the rain." The sound brings a fragile smile to his lips. His eyes open, glowing faintly gold, the color of dawn, the color of promise. "And I did," he murmurs. "Always." His voice fades into the mist, but his light does not. It rises, curling upward, a luminous thread that weaves itself into the dying sky. Far above, the goddess, now reduced to shadow, watches what remains of her son. There's no wrath in her any more, only sorrow. "You have outlived even the gods," she whispers. "And so love becomes the last divine thing." Her voice dissolves into the stars which flicker back to life one by one. The rain intensifies, falling in waves of silver, until the entire forest shimmers with reflected moonlight that no longer exists. The oak trembles. Its roots glow like veins of light spreading through the earth. The prophecy is complete. Love has rewritten heaven's law. And so the night falls one final time, endless, gentle, eternal. The moon did not rise that night, for it had seen enough.